It is the 4th day of April 2023 and you're just in time for another edition of News Tonight. We have so much lined up for you on our bulletin tonight, but first, the highlights.
There will be no handshake, but there will be an engagement in Parliament.
We will not have a handshake. President William Ruto insists, saying the bipartisan process will be achieved through Parliament.
If the other side is not serious, we will go back to our people.
Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga issues fresh demands to President William Ruto, which he says must be implemented this week or face the return of mass protests.
I assure you of good working relationship, of your safety.
Everyone will carry their own cross. Rogue cop on the spot. IG Japhet Koome says police have launched probe over the attack of journalists.
My name is Dennis Otieno. Our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloi. Now welcome to the broadcast. Now on to our top story tonight. President William Ruto insists there will be no handshake between him and the Azimio leader Raila Odinga. Speaking during a two-day tour of Rwanda, the head of state has confirmed that the bipartisan process will be addressed through Parliament. Gilbert Nalwa kicks off the bulletin with the story.
Few days after the president called on Azimio leader Raila Odinga to call off demonstrations, there have been speculations of a possible handshake between President Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga.
In times like this, it is not a question of who is right and who is wrong. In times like this, you have to put your house in order.
President William Ruto, however, while visiting Rwanda, has dismissed claims of a possible handshake between him and Raila Odinga, stating that there shall be a discussion in Parliament involving members from both the political divide to settle the issues raised by the opposition.
That whatever issues that they had, there was democratic, constitutional, legal channels of raising those issues using the platform of Parliament in a bipartisan manner. And that is the offer I made to the opposition. You asked me a direct question whether there will be a handshake because of this situation. I want to tell you there will be no handshake.
The president reiterating that he has a responsibility as the head of state to ensure sanity prevails in the country.
And as president, I owe it to the people of Kenya to provide leadership. And on Sunday, I did ask the opposition to reconsider the demonstrations that they had undertaken.
In what seems like a rejoinder, Azimio leader Raila Odinga held a press conference and affirmed that he is not interested in a handshake deal with the Kenya Kwanza government, and neither is he ready to extend his hand to any government official.
We have never talked about a handshake. That is a language coming from the other side. They're the ones who have been saying, oh, these people wanataka tu handshake, nusu mukati, and so on. Take it to Mr. Gachagua. Tell me, I don't even want to shake his hands.
The president said the handshake arrangement is unconstitutional and undemocratic, as it undermines the system of checks and balances, where the opposition is tasked with the responsibility of playing an oversight to the government.
The history we have of the handshake is where there was a fusion of government and the opposition, and the results were very disastrous for Kenya. There wasn't any accountability. The whole system went rogue, and the people of Kenya do not want a situation where democracy is undermined.
Reporting for TV47, my name is Gilbert Nalwa.
And tonight, Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga has issued fresh demands to President William Ruto, which he must implement this week or face the return of mass protests. Odinga wants the bipartisan process to involve leaders outside parliament, akin to the National Accord of the year 2008 that gave birth to the Grand Coalition government, while insisting that IEBC servers must be opened for dialogue to take place. And as Apollo Kamau reports, President William Ruto's UDA party has hit out at Odinga, accusing him of not being genuine and holding the process at ransom.
We further resolved that Kenya Kwanza must take immediate steps to lower the costs of fuel and put a freeze on the recent increase in the cost of electricity. These are not matters for a committee. They are things that the government just needs to take a decision and implement. Further, we have resolved that the state must immediately take up the costs or waive all medical bills of victims of police brutality, including journalists and the last expense costs of those who lost their lives. Today I went to the hospital, both Kenyatta Hospital and Bagathi Hospital, and I saw at first hand the police brutality. People who are unarmed and shot by the police on their groins, some on their stomachs, suffering at the hospitals. I know of a number of journalists who also were attacked and who are still hospitalized. And this is why what we are saying is a practice that must end. We have seen too much brutality since this Inspector General, Mr. Comey, took charge. It is even worse than the worst days of dictatorship in this country. Finally, we assure our people and Kenyans that our eyes are firmly on the ball. Mr. Ruto made his statement, but I just want to say that that was not the basis of the understanding between the parties that were negotiating or talking between us. That statement fell far short of what had been agreed, and they know it. And that's why in our own statement, we reiterated firmly what was going to be the basis of our engagement with Kenya Kwanza. And what we have reiterated in this statement is not different. We have actually mentioned the same issues that we said we wanted to be addressed. Those are the issues which made us go to the streets. And we mentioned them clearly. One, auditing of the servers so that we can put this matter to rest. We understand that some people are trying to tamper with the servers. They need to know that we are watching them. We know it, and we also know that's why we are talking about a forensic audit by experts.
Meanwhile, police have launched a probe into the attack of journalists by a rogue police officer who battered and repeatedly assaulted members of the Fourth Estate during Azimio protests last week on Thursday. Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome has confirmed that his office has received several complaints, noting that any officers who will be found culpable of any wrongdoing will carry their own cross. 6 journalists were attacked last Thursday, with the Media Council of Kenya documenting 25 cases of attacks on local and foreign journalists since the onset of the Azimio protests. Moige William with the report.
Please, I'm rushing.
Tuesday, the Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome was put to task on the brutality meted on journalists covering the Azimio protest Thursday last week, where among them NTV and KTN News camera persons were injured after police unleashed terror on protesters who heeded on the call of Azimio leader Raila Odinga to join in the anti-Kenya Kwanza protest. Koome, in response, has assured journalists of protection during police operations, further stating investigation into the incident has already commenced after he received numerous complaints.
Therefore, I assure you of good working relationship of your safety. Any time you feel you are in any way threatened, any issue causing you discomfort in terms of your security, IG is available. Welcome to Jogo House. Tell me, there's this police officer threatening me.
Also responding to a viral video that captured an officer firing tear gas canister inside a vehicle during the demo, Koome revealed the said officer was under probe as relevant investigating bodies have taken up the case.
Can you imagine one day waking up with the wish to harm a close friend? Can you imagine of that? So you are all, incidentally, a number of you are good friends. We keep talking. We are good friends.
Earlier, Media Council of Kenya MCK described March 2023 as the darkest month for Kenyan media since the clamor for multi-party democracy, noting since the onset of the demonstrations, 25 cases of attacks on local and foreign journalists by state and non-state actors had been documented.
Yes, I assure journalists you are safe and secure. I need to let you know I have relatives who are journalists. Yes. I have close friends who are journalists.
The police chief was speaking at the Kenya School of Government on the sidelines of interviews for the Deputy Inspector General of Police position, which fell vacant following the retirement of Edwin Mbugua. 12 senior police officers, including the new Director of Police Operations Munga Nyale, former police spokesperson Bruno Shioso, the Commander of General Service Unit Douglas Kanja, and the Director Chaplaincy and Counseling Dr. Vincent Makoha are among the candidates interviewed. Abdallah Komesha was appointed to the position in acting capacity. Muigi William, TV 47.
Now, members of county assemblies across the country under the County Assembly Forum today camped at the Western Region Police Headquarters in Kakamega County to protest the killing of Kisa East MCA Stephen Maloba. Maloba was stabbed to death in Munjit Village, Quisero constituency, Kakamega County, during a political meeting on Saturday. Now, Norbert Odor reports.
The County Assembly's Forum petitioned the government to assign armed security officers to all 4,200 members of county assemblies following the killing of Kisa East MCA Stephen Maloba. Today, the members of County Assembly from the Western Region visited the Western Region Police Headquarters to air their grievances and demand answers as to how MCA Stephen Maloba was attacked and murdered.
Washikwe. Mambo ya investigation hakuna hapa na watu wanajulikana kwa polisi. So what we want is justice. Wale wamedunga mheshimiwa Kisu wanajulikana. Wale walisaidia wale kwa commotion ya kudunga mheshimiwa Kisu wanajulikana.
Na tunaambia vijana wawachane na mambo ya violence. Wawache viongozi wafanye kazi. Na baada ya miaka 5 kama kiongozi atakuwa amefanya kazi sawa sawa, siasa itaanza.
Kisa constituency residents, led by former Quisero Member of Parliament Julius Aruga, who were also angered by Maloba's sudden death, held protest against the Quisero police station, asking the police to put the culprits behind bars.
Ningependa kushutumu hiyo kitendo ya kutoa maisha ya mwenzetu bila hatia yoyote, kwa sababu mheshimiwa alikuwa anaenda kuhudhuria mkutano ambao yuko kwa area yako na ako na haki ya kwenda kwa mkutano yoyote ambayo inafanyika kwa area yako.
Tunaomba justice must be seriously taken, na pia wale watu ambao walikuwa na hiyo kisanga washikwe, wawekwe ndani kufikia leo jioni.
Quisero OCPD Samuel Kogo confirmed that 3 suspects have already been arrested and are helping the police with the investigation.
As at now, investigations are underway. We have 3 people assisting us in investigations, and hopefully by the close of business tomorrow we may be having good leads.
However, Western Regional Commander Kiprono Lagat urged anyone who might have any information that would help in the investigation to come forward to help solve the murder case.
Na ningependa kuomba wananchi na mtu yeyote ambaye ako na information yoyote ambaye anaweza kusaidia kukamilisha uchunguzi wetu aje mbele. Tuko na kikosi ambayo tumeweka kule Quisero wametoka hapa Kakamega na watakuwa wanatembelea ninyi, na pia kama uko na ujumbe anaweza kuwatembelea pale Kwisero.
Reports indicate that the lawmaker was stabbed to death after chaos broke out at a political meeting in Kakamega County. Norbert Oduor, TV 47.
Well, thank you, Norbert Oduor, for that report. And still in the western regions of the country, Butere Boys High School has been closed indefinitely following a suspected cholera outbreak. Over 90 students were hospitalized with cholera-like symptoms, including vomiting and diarrhea. And as Andrine Kilemi now reports, the incident comes barely a day after Mukumu Girls, a school within the same county of Kakamega, was closed following the death of 2 students. Kakamega County Governor Fernandez Baraza, however, has assured parents of the safety of their children, saying the situation is under control.
Teachers and students of Butere Boys High School are living in fear following a suspected cholera outbreak that saw over 90 students hospitalized after they exhibited cholera-like symptoms. Confirming the incident, Kakamega County Governor Fernandez Baraza said preliminary reports indicated that the students did not suffer from typhoid or cholera, but further assured parents that investigations would continue to establish the cause of stomach irritation.
I know quite a number of things, maybe around personal hygiene, and that is why, as a county, we are going to form an emergency team, which is going to, of course, work very closely with the school management and the national government to see how we can get the root cause.
The affected students were treated in various hospitals across the county, including Butere Level 4 Hospital. Barasa affirmed that out of those admitted, 5 were in stable condition and could be discharged from hospital tomorrow.
With regard to the samples which have been taken, we have now sent the food and water samples to Kemri for further tests, just to be sure on the root cause of the problem that has affected our school.
The incident comes barely 24 hours after Mukumu Girls, a school within the same county of Kakamega, was closed indefinitely following suspected food poisoning, with 2 students dead and over 100 others still receiving treatment. Andrine Kilemi, TV 47.
You had enough time to save my daughter's life. These are the words of Sharon Jerry's father, wife to Michael Masharia, also known as DJ Brownskin, whose video went viral over the weekend. The viral video that was recorded by DJ Brownskin himself shows his wife bidding goodbye to his children after allegedly consuming a poisonous substance. Sharon died in July last, and her father now says the video that is doing rounds on social media has opened deep wounds. Zainab Mohammed with the story.
Days after a video showing what seems to be DJ Brownskin's wife Sharon Jerry's last moments, Jerry's father Albert Mwangi has broken his silence, blaming the DJ for failing to save his daughter's life. The grieving father said he is still in shock by the information about his daughter that is doing rounds on social media, saying he had no knowledge of any bad blood between the couple.
Ulipeleka maiti osi au kupeleka mgonjwa. You had that time kuchukua video baada usave life. Ukipata mtu amegongwa na gari ikapotea, anatupatupa mguu, si utasimama you save life hata huo mjui.
He's now calling for justice as he tries to come to terms with the contents of the video, saying it has uncovered deep wounds.
Mambo ya social media, mara anasema ati amempata, sijui amefanya nini. Nimeona yeye anajua kupiga video sana. Mbona anasema hii mambo ya aliwapata? Si anajua kupiga video. Si angechukua hata hiyo video. Mimi nataka tu mtoto wangu niridhike.
Sharon Jerry allegedly died by suicide on the 22nd of July last year.
Meanwhile, in a bid to cushion the vulnerable population in the country, President William Ruto has reiterated the need for various partnerships in achieving universal health coverage and social protection, further boosting funding for the Social Protection Department whilst reducing the amount paid to NHIF from 500 shillings to 300 shillings. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
There are 8.9 million people in Kenya currently living below the poverty line. 18.2% of Kenyan children under the age of 5 are suffering from stunted growth, and so as to cushion this group termed as vulnerable, the government has now allocated 28 billion Kenya shillings to support the Inua Jamii cash transfer program.
In 2014, the cost of hunger survey estimated that costs associated with underweight children were 13.1 billion. While those associated with acute respiratory infections, acute diarrhea syndrome, fever, and malaria was approximately 800 million.
To ensure seamless transfer, the program has since consolidated 3 categories of the vulnerable persons: older persons, orphans and vulnerable children, and persons with severe disability, to ensure they are cushioned during the tough economic times. The targeted groups are paid 2,000 per month by the government.
The social sector has a population of about 20 million, comprising of children, older persons, and persons with disabilities who require social protection services. Yet, the funding for this sector is currently at 0.7% of our GDP.
And I would urge them also, and I would urge planners and policy makers to come up with a policy that can condense all social security pension schemes into one large insurance scheme that can cover everybody.
The program's beneficiaries will from 1st June receive their stipends ahead of the public servants in a move aimed at cushioning and enhancing their sense of belonging in the society as per the bottom-up approach under the government's economic transformation agenda.
I know for a very long time we've had social protection cash transfer money disbursed 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe sometimes 7 months after they are due. Treasury have undertaken that from June 1, before salaries of public servants is paid, cash transfer for the vulnerable will be paid.
By the end of 2023, low-income learners in the country will only pay 300 Kenya shillings, down from 500 Kenya shillings charged on the National Health Insurance Fund. The insurance, which serves over 223,000 Kenyans from vulnerable households, will also cover cancer care so as to realize the universal health coverage agenda by reducing costs incurred on treatment.
It will be possible, beginning later this year, to pay 300 shillings and still keep the cover. Again, so that we can expand the number of people whom we can carry on board the National Health Insurance cover.
Council of Governors Chair Anne Waiguru has welcomed the national government's move, saying this will help expand social protection in Kenya, which is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals.
I wish to state that the welfare of 46% of Kenyans who are living below the poverty line, with 19% of them being in chronic poverty, can only be guaranteed if we put our heads together and make social protection policies, systems, and structures work.
The president was speaking during the Kenya Social Protection Conference of 2023 at the Kenya School of Government in Nairobi. The conference brought together different stakeholders from both locally and internationally. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth Atieno, for that report. Now, elsewhere, transport was paralyzed in Kajiado County following heavy rains that continue to pound the area, with roads being rendered impassable following floods in the Bisil-Lolongoswa road that has been cut off, with students and traders greatly affected. Our reporter Ronnie Regan with the story.
This was the situation on the Bisili-Lolonoso Road in Kajiado County. Transport activities were disrupted early Tuesday, making it impossible for the drivers to maneuver.
Leo tumepata mvua mingi ambaye ilinyesha siku ya leo kama saa 7 ya usiku. Sasa tukaona tena hii barabara inakuanga ya national government, tumeona imekatika.
The school-going children had to walk for tens of kilometers to access their schools, while traders could not transport their goods to the market.
Kwa vera leo tuko na mchezo pale Lorongoswa, tumeona watoto waendi juu ya hiyo mchezo. Hiyo katika imekatika. Na hata nimeona walimu wengi wale wanalala busy, wamelala pale ile hajapata nafasi ya kwenda kuangalia watoto wao.
The residents and motorists have expressed fears that if the rains continue to pound, then their lives will be greatly affected, urging the government to intervene.
Hata kesho tunapeleka watoto wapi subzonal, hakuna barabara. Hivyo tunaomba leaders from MP, governor, MCS, any other person watutengenezee hii river hii hapa inaitwa mashini, hakuna kwenda tena. That is the end of the story. Na sio hii tu peke yake, iko mingi hapa kwa barabara.
Mvua iliweza kunyesha jana kwa mvua mzito kabisa hapa barabara hii ya kwenda Lorongoswa. Na kama iendapo itanyesha tena siku ya leo, najua hiyo barabara kufikia hata kesho kutwa haitapitika. Kwa hivyo serikali tunaomba kama inawezekana hiyo barabara Lorongoswa iweze kutengenezwa. Daraja liwekwe la maana. Kwa sababu mimi nikija kufunga shamba langu, hakuna atakayepita huko. Basi sijui usafiri itakuwa namna gani. Kwa sababu barabara hiyo imeharibika ya kutosha. Mimi mwenyewe ndio nimejitoa tu kuwapatia vijana waweze kupitia barabara kila wakati, kwa sababu ya hiyo barabara haitengenezeki, kwa sababu ni kwa muda mrefu sana barabara hiyo imeharibika.
Kile yetu tunasema kwamba kama ingewezekana serikali ya kutusaidie tutengenezee barabara. Sasa hii barabara imekatika, wananchi ndio walikuwa wanajitoa kujitengeneza. Kwa hivyo ni mzuri serikali ya kutusaidie.
This road is just one among many other roads in the country that have left many residents with a lot of questions as to where will they find comfort, especially during this rainy season. Ronnie Reagan, TV 47.
Wacha tuongee tu. Hii ni kazi ya serikali. Tuongee kabisa. Nani ataongea?
Real estate players have today held a press conference in a bid to address the measures that are being undertaken to reduce fraud cases in the sector. This comes a month after Kirinyaga Central Member of Parliament Joseph Gitari proposed a bill that requires land agents to deposit 500 million shillings as a measure that will safeguard customers from fraudulent practices. Speaking during the briefing, the chairperson of the Real Estate Association, Kenywa Wairatu, emphasized that they have set up strategies such as certifying real estate agents that will ascertain their identity to potential clients.
As you are well aware, there has been a lot of concern from the public about the real estate industry in the country. Many Kenyans have invested their hard-earned money in projects that have turned out to be fraudulent or non-existent. This has led to a lot of mistrust and suspicion. We understand that this is a serious problem, and that's why we have come together as real estate companies to be part of the solution. We, as the Association of Real Estate Stakeholders, have a primary objective to act as a point of reference for the real estate market as we seek to promote transparency, accountability, and ethical business practices in the sector.
I think setting $500 million as the requisite amount one is supposed to deposit to the government for you to do real estate business, I don't think will be the solution. The reason is one can raise $500 million, then they defraud the members of the public 10 billion. So that is not the solution. The solution lies with the actors, the stakeholders, to self-regulate themselves. The way you usually see the LSK regulating themselves, that's the way to go.
Cunningham was put on the spot by the Joint Committee probing the telco scandal of a 6.1 billion shillings payment which was paid during the election period by the government to acquire the telcos company fully. In his defense, Cunningham told members that he is not fully involved in the day-to-day operations of Jamhuri Limited. He further told the committee that the company is now fully owned by Kenya. But MPs in the probe, however, termed Cunningham's explanation unsatisfactory, fearing that he might just be a proxy. The committee is seeking to unmask real owners of Helios Limited, a company which was paid 6.1 billion shillings on behalf of Jamhuri Holdings.
And as a main person of Helios, 2016 to 2023, you have never met anybody from Telkom Kenya, and you have never met anybody from government, and you have been transacting heavy businesses. Can you categorically say, I have never met anybody from Telkom Kenya, and I've never met any senior government from the government of Kenya?
Of these agreements, were you using a transaction of an advisor? And if these if you are using transaction officers, were they Kenyans? And who are they? I think we need to know that. 2, who are the 5 biggest investors in Helios? I think that's very important for us as an
investment in TK, as he is the firm's Telkom expert. So it wasn't me. As I wasn't at the negotiations, I don't know exactly which one or which members of the team would have been directly involved.
Just for the record,
I guess the fact that I'm not aware which of the directors were actively involved in the negotiations. I know there were 2 Helios appointed directors on the board of Telkom who may have been involved, but because I wasn't party to that, I can't state for absolute certain. And I'm speaking here under oath, so I'm not willing to speculate. I want to be clear that
And shifting focus to international news, former US President Donald Trump is currently at the Manhattan courtroom, where the indictment will be unsealed, providing the first public details about the specific charge. Trump becomes the first former US president in history to face criminal charges. Trump's legal team has said the former president will plead not guilty, and the former president, who has vowed to continue his 2024 bid, is slated to fly back to Florida after the arraignment and speak tonight at Mar-a-Lago. And on that note, we're due a short break, but don't go too far. We'll be right back with more news.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories. As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
That's all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
Simply have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Mount Kenya. Nobody loves me the way that you do. Nobody can love you.
Moi Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Moi Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Moi Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event. Watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's continue with a question. Now, was the media biased in its coverage of the mass protests called for by Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga? Were the attacks on the journalists covering the demonstrations warranted? The last 2 weeks, journalists in Kenya have found themselves tucked in between a rock and a hard place, with the opposition calling for countrywide anti-government demonstrations that have often turned ugly as police officers engaged protesters. Journalists covering the protests found themselves in a catch-22 situation. Majority injured and some even lost their equipment. Was it right to shoot the messenger? Sharon Baranga answers some of these questions.
I lost my phone and my wallet, media press card and stuff. Good thing I have my camera here. But my microphone and other accessories have gone. Yeah.
For me, they attacked me. Moza amenigonga ngumi, and then they wanted, I was holding Royal Media Services microphone. They wanted to gone away with the phone. They've gone away with the phone. They've gone away with the phone.
Unaona karao kutupa hizo live bullets. Uzuri tukamwambia driver manze speed off hapa tunazapigwa. Tulikuwa juu ya gari. So kufika hapa before tukuja kujeni kwa barabara kwa main highway. Kiaga zikaanza kutupwa. Zikatupwa. Moja ikakuwa too much, sasa tusioni mbele juu tumejaza. So nilikuwa na gas mask na ile helmet. Ikaingia paka kwa gas mask. Ikabidi nimetoa. Nilikuwa nimevaa ile bullet. Moja ilipigwa ikagonga hii helmet. Kaingia hapa ndani. Ikaingia kama jalipuka. So ni have to because ianza kuchoma. Hata mimi nilichoma. Ukiangalia hapa by the way, nimechoma hapa hivi side. Nimechomeka hapa. So nikaitoa before ichuka, nikaitupa nje. Hiyo nikitoa hiyo nyingine, nikasikia nyingine imekuja pa. Ikanigonga. Sasa ndio maana imepiga impact. But mimi nauliza, tulikosea polisi wapi? Sisi tulikuwa just peaceful. Wangetaka wangepiga vijana, wangerushia vijana walikuwa wanachukua mawe. Sisi hatukushi mawe, tulikuwa tunakava tu procession. Na kama nilikuja kutuambia, wangetuambia tushuke, tuende. Ni kazi tunafanya kama kawaida.
Yani nilifika huko tu nimechukua microphone. I wanted to know Zimbabwe wamefunga barabara. Wakaanza kunipiga.
They are journalists caught in the line of fire while in line of duty, armed with their cameras, microphones, pens and notebooks. They bore the brunt of protesters on one hand and police officers on the other, their mistake being providing coverage for demonstrations that had rocked some parts of the country. 20th March 2023 is a day when Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga called for mass protests. Among the issues Raila wanted the government to address are the high cost of living and the recruitment of IEBC commissioners. And so there are people who heeded to his call and turned up for the protests. But it will not be long before everything turned chaotic. Police officers engaged with the protesters. Journalists covering the demonstrations were caught in between the pandemonium. A number of them were hurt and others lost their equipment. What followed next was politicians heaping blame on journalists, saying they were biased in their coverage of the mass protests.
Where are the ethics? Where is the ethical attitude about the media? I remember, even when people were sick sometimes, you are even trained not to show certain photographs. You are trained to moderate the photographs that you bring out. Surely, how can you be reporting every day about a pundit? You are the one, today I'm happy because I'm going to cover the maandamano. And my job is to be narrating how they are moving. Tell me, aren't you also breeding anarchy? Aren't you fueling anarchy? And anarchy breeds anarchy.
These media people, Prime Cabinet Secretary, don't worry about them. These are Azimio people. They are part of Azimio. So you should not be bothered about them. They joined Azimio to run fake opinion polls. They wrote headline after headline that William Ruto stands no chance. They are still in denial. They are still hoping that Raila can push us to bring him into government and then they can join government too. That is why they are glorifying violence and anarchy, because they are part of Azimio. So nyinyi watu ya magazeti, kama mnangojea hii serikali ya William Ruto isabaratike, you will wait for a long time. You join that Azimio brigade and your fellows, tukutane kwa debe. Na msitusie sisi woga. You wrote all headlines against us. You demeaned President William Ruto. You called him a thief. You wrote anything bad you can never write about anybody. But the people of Kenya ignored you and elected him as president. The same way you are writing and glorifying violence and then trying to play victim, the people of Kenya will once more ignore you. Watu ya media, poleni sana. Mujaribu 2027 na hiyo mzeenu.
When asked about the attacks on journalists, President William Ruto had this to say.
We are great believers in free media. And any engagement that puts the media in danger is not acceptable. However, in the context of the violent demonstrations, you agree that there has been a lot of violence against citizens, many citizens, properties, burning or down of buildings, including churches. In that confusion, there could have been incidences where the media was caught in the fray. I do not think there is any deliberate attack on the media. And if there was such deliberate attack on the media, I can tell you, we would be opposed to it, and we would not support it, and we would actually deal with it, because we believe that the media should be left to carry out its duties, its broadcasts, irrespective of how unfair they may be. It doesn't really matter. But the media should be left alone, irrespective of how biased they may be. And just for the record, because I have seen some other people say, oh, maybe the media will be, I don't know what will be switched off. Take it from me. Kenya has come a long way. The era of switching off, I don't know, this or that's way behind us. I have said we will support the right of the media to carry out its function. You have our absolute support, irrespective of how biased you are against us. We will support you. Yeah? We will support you to do whatever it is that you're doing. But I am sure if we exchange positions, if you are standing where I'm standing, you guys would have switched off the media. But us, we will not.
In a letter dated 22nd March 2023, the Communications Authority of Kenya Director General Ezra Chiloba raised an issue with 6 TV stations saying they had violated the regulators' set standards in their live coverage of the Azimio-led protests. In the letter, Chiloba said, and I quote, "The coverage depicted scenes that could cause panic or incitement to the public, threatening peace and cohesion in the country." End of quote. The communication regulator also threatened to revoke operating broadcast licenses if any broadcaster violates the rules again, and it went ahead to outline obligations all broadcasters should adhere to. On that same week, the High Court restrained the Communications Authority of Kenya from stopping TV stations' live coverage of the demonstrations. The court cited a suit filed by the Law Society of Kenya (LSK), the Katiba Institute, and journalists' unions, which it said raised serious issues. Katiba Institute had written to the Communication Authority demanding a revocation of the latter, saying the move was unconstitutional and a threat to media's freedom of expression. Others who are part of the suit were Kenya Editors Guild, Bloggers Association of Kenya, and Kenya Correspondents Association.
Tuko na ujumbe kwa yule mkuu wa polisi Bwana Kome, tukisema ya kwamba iwapo waandishi wa habari watashambuliwa kesho na maafisa wa polisi, sisi tutachukua hatua kwako kibinafsi ya kisheria. Wewe kama ambaye anasimamia polisi, iwapo polisi watavunja sheria, watavamia waandishi wa habari, wataharibu mali za waandishi wa habari, watatishia maisha ya waandishi wa habari, basi wewe kama mkuu wa polisi tutachukua hatua ya kisheria. Tunasema ya kwamba iwapo serikali haitafanya kazi yake, kwa sababu tunajua serikali iko na jukumu la kulinda usalama na kulinda mali ya Wakenya. Iwapo serikali itashindwa katika hiyo kazi, basi tutakusuzia kupatia coverage serikali, na tutaanza na polisi na pia ile wizara ya Interior and National Administration. Tutawapatia blackout, hatutaangazia yale mambo ambayo yanaendelea kule. Mwisho kabisa ni kwa wale ambao wanamiliki vyombo vya habari, ya kwamba pia wao wako na jukumu la kuhakikisha ya kwamba waandishi wa habari wamepewa PPEs, waandishi wa habari wako na bima kwa wale ambao watatumwa kwenda kuangazia mambo ya maandamano. Tusiwe tunatuma waandishi wa habari kwenda kule nje hawana PPEs, na pia wakiumia matibabu inakuwa ni shida.
The government should not do anything that denies the free flow of information to the public. We say this because we have received reports of plans to shut down the broadcast media and to shut down the internet and throw the country into information darkness ahead of tomorrow's demonstrations. This would be most ill-advised and a grievous assault on Kenya's democracy, because it denies the Kenyan citizens and the Kenyan public their rights to information. From the media perspective, taking this route will sink us all as a country. Number 2, we acknowledge that the right to peaceful assembly is a foundation of a democratic and tolerant society, as enshrined in our Constitution 2010. And we, the media, have a democratic duty to bring such information to the public and to our citizens. However, we note with concern the wave of attacks, both online and offline, meted against media workers in their line of duty. Number 3, while safety of journalists should be guaranteed, the Kenya Media Sector Working Group notes with alarm the increasing number of journalists targeted by law enforcement officers. Since the demonstrations by the Azimio La Umoja coalition began on March 20th this year, we have documented more than 20 cases of attacks and violations against journalists, including harassment, arbitrary arrests, and physical attacks with state actors responsible or encouraging a significant proportion of these attacks. Number 4, we take great exception to the profiling of the media and the blunt threats by the Deputy President, by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and by the Inspector General of Police. Such sentiments coming from offices with prime responsibility of protecting the media are shocking and unfortunate.
We also ask upon the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, to update on the nation on the status of investigations of police brutality against our journalists. Article 34(2) of the Kenyan Constitution makes it very clear that the state shall not interfere with any person engaged in broadcasting, production, or circulation of any publication or dissemination of information by any medium, or penalize any person for any opinion or view of the content of any broadcast or publication. We also demand that the government commits to compensating journalists already armed, including paying for their medical treatment and replacing damaged or lost equipment, failure to which media houses should consider blacking out government events.
Members of Kitui Media Union condemn in the strongest terms possible to these inhuman acts. Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya epitomizes the Bill of Rights and freedoms of Kenyans which we enjoy in our Constitution in the year 2010. Press freedom in Kenya is a right, not a favor, and the police should give media space and freedom to cover their news and inform Kenyans and the whole world what is happening.
We as Kitui Media Union want the Media Council of Kenya, which is the umbrella body that fights for the rights of the journalists, which we are all members, to raise its voice, to condemn these acts and bring to book all security officers and the goons who will be recorded assaulting journalists in their line of duty.
Kwa historia ya Kenya, hii ndio imekuwa the darkest period ambao waandishi wameteswa, wamepigwa, wamenyanyashwa kuliko hata siku za ukoloni. Hata 1952 was better. Kwa siku 3 tu ambazo maandamano yamefanyika kama 4 sasa, tuko na karibu waandishi 27 ambao aidha wamepigwa, wameshikwa, vyombo vikaharibiwa na critical injuries ambayo yatafanyika. Na kitu ambacho kinashangaza watu kwamba ile tatizo tuko nayo Kenya kwa hivi sasa ni tofauti za kisiasa. Si tofauti ya wanahabari na polisi. So kwa nini polisi wanafanya hii kuwe ni kama vita yao na waandishi wa habari? Tunashindwa. Why are they targeting journalists? Manake imeanza na wanasiasa kuprofile waandishi wa habari wakiwa wana target, ikafuata sasa na polisi, na sasa imefuata na wafuasi wa wanasiasa. So imekuwa ni waandishi wa habari wamekuwa ndio common enemy ambayo inavunja sheria zote kuanzia International Convention, katiba yetu ya Kenya. Mwandishi wa habari kazi yake ni analipa bili zake hivi. Hiyo ndio kazi yake. Akiamka asubuhi anaenda kutafuta habari auze ndio apate. Kwa hivyo kuzuia mtu kufanya kazi yake kando na ile kuviolate article 34, 35 hizo zote, but cha muhimu sana kuna right to life, right to security, right to labor. Hiyo ndio kazi ya waandishi wa habari. Sasa waandishi wa habari are not a political party. Kwa hivyo kwa nini waletu wafanywe ni jambo ambalo lazima lilaamiwe kwa njia yoyote ile.
We did well as a service. We did well, but we are again subject to audit by fellow citizens. We allow audit by fellow Kenyans. And we learn out of what you are saying, the comment you are making, right? Life is about learning, is a learning process. You keep improving every day.
And what a piece by our very own Sharon Baranga. Now, on that note, it is time to take a look at the sports news. Now, the FKF Premier League is expected to resume Wednesday afternoon with 9 matches slated for action in various stadia across the country in March 22 of the competition. After taking a 2-week recess to pave way for the international break, the league resumes with a number of crunch fixtures as the battle of the top two intensifies when FC Leopards host Tusker FC at the Nyayo National Stadium. Speaking during their training session at the Ruaraka grounds, Tusker FC head coach Robert Matano expressed confidence over his side registering good results, saying most injured players are fully fit and ready to face off their opponents. Other matches in the league will see Posta Rangers play host to Kakamega Homeboys at the Kasarani Stadium. Bidco United will host Kariobangi Sharks at the Police Pavilion grounds, while KCB will lock horns with Nairobi City Stars at the Annex.
Our team is not looking bad. We are okay. We've been training, and I'm happy with the progress. The good fixture for every team. It will be tough, but we are ready for the match. Yeah, we have to be, because that's the situation now. We have to cope with it. And good enough, our players who have been injured are coming back. So I think we'll have nearly everybody around. So it will be easier for us to maintain that one, the short period of the fixture. So we want to at least make changes all the time so that we can maintain our fitness level.
And still in matters football, Football Kenya Federation Deputy President Doris Petra has given an update on the state of football in the country. Petra says Kenya is making tremendous progress in football despite the FIFA suspension imposed on the country in the year 2021. According to Petra, many age groups lost opportunities of taking part in various tournaments during the suspension period. However, adding that the Federation is doing everything possible to rebuild Kenyan football, as she congratulated Harambee Stars players for scoring a goal against a top-ranked Iran in their international friendly match.
We are picking up the pieces from where we left. We have lost so much in the process, not as FKF but as football. A lot of time has been lost, a lot of opportunities have been lost in terms of not participating in the international qualifications and competitions which were arranged when we were serving our suspension. So it means that a lot of age group have lost the opportunity to play in some of these tournaments. But we are picking up from where we are. We hope that we can do a lot from grassroots to build until a time then we'll start competing again at the international level. It's also an opportunity to rebuild, but it's also not very smooth because financially we are still not being able to get enough finances to finance our activities. Because after the ban, there's a lot to be done because in the public eye, there's a lot of money at FKF, but that money has not come. But even when it starts coming, nobody's going to give you all that money at once. It will be bits following the FIFA financial regulations. So far we are happy. Our leagues are being played. Our national team just played, and I really appreciate the team. It was not easy within that short period to play against number 4 ranked in the world and a World Cup team and get a goal and not lose by a bigger margin. That's a big plus for the team.
And to matters basketball, Moisture's Nets Team A and Akam 1 were crowned the winners of the men's and women's Mombasa edition of the Red Bull Half-Court Basketball Tournament that was played at the Aga Khan Sports Grounds in Mombasa County. The tournament, which is organized by the Kenya Basketball Federation in partnership with Red Bull Kenya, was making a comeback for the 4th annual edition and saw teams fight for a qualifying spot to compete in the World Finals that will be held in Belgrade, Serbia. In the men's semi-final fixtures played earlier, Moisture's Nets A beat Storm's 18-10 to book a tantalizing tie with Moisture's Nets B team, while in the women's semis, Kaya TWC punished Kaya TW A with scores of 19-4 to book a final duel with Kaya TW D. Speaking after the games, Moisture Nets A player O'Brien Oyo reiterated the importance of the tournament played in providing exposure to players and helping them develop their offensive and defensive skills.
Over on the other half of the bracket. Round of 16 matches on this half of the bracket. So Sniper Gang played.
And on that sporty note, we get to call it a wrap on News Tonight.